DidIEatThat.info. Hello. Welcome to All About You with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host,
Daydream.
Your wellness warrior, Susan Bennett.
We'd like to thank you for joining us, and we ask that you please join in on the conversation, where your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions help drive the conversation. Today we're going to talk about death by food. Now, this may seem like an oxymoron, but with today's infusion of science and laboratory foods entering our diets, death is quite possible by foods. Now, food fraud is a $50 billion business. I am sure you have eaten some of this evidence. So yes, ultimately death can occur by food. Eating too much of the wrong foods over a period of time, as well as having undiagnosed health issues, one can actually die due to overeating. This happened to John Candy, a comedian actor from the 80s. Now, overeating can mainly occur with the awfully inaccurate government food pyramid that for decades represented what we should be eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The dietary guidelines was created by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to outline healthy foods and address the concerns of the unhealthy foods in our diet in an effort to combat chronic diseases like stroke, diabetes, and heart disease. And while it was created with good intentions, the food pyramid could actually be the cause exactly what it is that they claim they were trying to prevent.
Right.
What we choose to do in this show is to inform you of the fact that food, not knowing the nutritional information that you should before consuming what is now fake foods and the like, and expecting to get healthy, it ain't gonna happen, guys. Our show today is to empower you, the consumer, the eater of food, the arbiter of what goes into your mouth, to make the right choices and bypass the middleman when it comes to science and your foods. Of course, empowerment doesn't come easy. It's not instantaneous. Troubling emotions will arise as you begin to research. You'll feel shock at what passes for evidence-based nutritional guidelines. You'll get angry at the entrenched special interests shaping government policies and deciding what humans should be eating. You'll be sad when you realize just how far back the experts have set us, and you'll be confused as to how we could have gotten things so terribly wrong with all the evidence being right there in front of us, waving its arms and jumping up and down. But you'll also come out of it informed. This stuff stinks, and it shouldn't be like this, guys, but ignoring it won't make it go away. It won't render it impotent. You have to face it. Luckily, you will come away with the ability to spot the inconsistencies, the bad science, the misleading interpretations that fool so many people. Let's talk about what we Americans spend most of our time doing, and that is eating. It surrounds every celebration and every going home celebration. Let's talk about food. Everything is with food. It starts with food.
You said all those things, and all I could think of the whole time was, I'm creeped out.
I know.
The more I know, the more creeped
out
I
get. The more you know, the more you realize.
And concerned about the babies.
People don't, again, like I said here, hopefully they will leave here empowered. And, again, we're talking about food can actually kill you now.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's been proven. Because there's an increase in cancers and all these other diseases and super diseases. So the link has always been food, and nobody wants to pay attention to that.
Nobody wants to pay attention to that. I have said for years, the food is killing us.
Oh, yeah.
The food gets you sick.
Yep, GMOs.
And then you get into the big pharma, the medications, and then you die. It's somewhere up in there. But again, I think I mentioned on when we talked about Dr. Sadie a couple of weeks ago, there's only 5 types of food. There's live, there's raw, there's dead, there's hybrid, and there's GMO. The best 2 to choose from is live and raw. Dead doesn't work. If you are alive, why do you want something dead? The plants that are there, those plants are alive.
Right.
So we are live creatures. Therefore, in my mind, what I've been doing for the last 47 years, we need to eat live foods.
But they have to be careful too, because they're making fake lettuce.
Oh, they are, and
fake rice.
Wait a minute, and cabbage.
Right.
Fake eggs.
Absolutely.
They're growing shrimp in the lab.
They're putting it together. They're mashing it together from byproducts. And we were talking about earlier, even teas. They're putting it
teas,
twigs and scraps
and dried animal skin.
Absolutely.
This is in your tea. This is to make it stretch because it's about the money. It has nothing to do with your well-being.
With nutrition,
none of that. And so we continue to not question anything. This is the only country that allows everything in.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
You go to other countries, you can't get a lot of this stuff.
And we were also talking about Well, I guess no. We'll talk about that at a later time.
Okay.
So
Oh wow, she got me all riled up.
I was like, wait, okay, yeah.
But you know, a lot of people, you know, again, we bring things to you. We're not talking twerking. We're not talking celebrity.
No.
You know what they're doing, because I really don't care about other people's
Talking
lives.
about
I am a little
things.
upset about that $1.6 billion that somebody's like.
Oh.
My God. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But I am upset about that. And I don't count other people's money, but that's a hell of a lot of money.
Right.
And I think they're supposed to be on the front page of Forbes in the next edition.
Somebody
Because
said
that 1.6 is taking that person to the 1%.
Right, if they choose to come
they
out,
choose
because
to.
they have the right to remain anonymous.
One little girl
Absolutely.
said on TV, on the radio, she said, the guy asked her, what would you do if you won? She said, have surgery. He couldn't. He said, what do you mean have surgery? She's like, I changed my whole face.
Oh, I get it. She's like,
Become a whole other
Nobody
person.
would know me. She didn't say change my.
funny.
I would change my entire face. I'm like,
Okay.
wow, that's pretty serious.
We're at the
Face off.
point now where you need to have your own private garden, your own private
do. We
everything.
talked about
When you
that.
talk about winning money, that's what I would do. Just try to figure out a way to get food.
And make it more nutritious and out of
Absolutely.
the soil.
Absolutely.
I kind of believe in hydroponic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I told y'all that tower
But
garden.
that
no
tower
joke.
garden, we've talked about
No
that.
joke.
And guys, we've talked to you about a tower garden before. And you see a lot of restaurants carrying tower
Absolutely.
gardens so that you can see them go out and pick their own herbs and that sort of things
Absolutely.
and cucumbers. So it means a lot when people can see where something comes from. I get a little nervous when they go in the back, especially if I don't like something. I send it back. They go.
What happens when I go
Yes,
back?
I'm like,
It already isn't real food.
How was
Now you
my
gotta
tone?
go back.
Yeah, how was my tone when I
Yeah,
talked to
was that
them?
nice?
Was
Was
that-
that- yeah.
I'm sorry. There's a hand.
There's a hand.
Can
You don't
get
know
it?
what's happening. You know.
No, it's
But
craziness.
we have. They also said that when you think you're getting lobster, you're not.
I saw that too. I saw
I'm
that
like,
too.
what the heck?
And the fact
You're not
that
getting Parmesan cheese.
exactly. And I think it irritates me because not only are they are they, and I guess to a point successful in faking the flavor, but also
We don't even notice.
right, but also to a place where that's because they got it where you dip it in all that butter and everything else.
Again, you don't notice. Or they have
Exactly.
so much sugar.
And so
You
much
just
all that
get- You get
yeah,
caught
yeah.
up in all the
But
secondary
but
flavors.
yet you're charging me
Mhm.
as if
As if I were getting the real thing.
The authentic
absolutely.
quality product.
Absolutely. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I don't know what langostino is, but they said that they're doing
It's
that.
the same as a lobster. It's
It's a
delicious.
giant. They say it's actually a giant shrimp.
Yeah.
It's not even a lobster, and they say you're supposed to be able to ask at any restaurant,
Uh-huh.
what is this?
I
Is
taught
this
my daughter
real
that. I taught
lobster?
my
But I've
daughter
seen
that
it,
because
right.
she's gotten mad at me over the years because I'm the type to say, "No, how did you prepare this for me?" Because I let them know up front that I'm coming and I'm vegetarian, so fix me
Mhm.
something vegan. And then I'll ask, "Well, how did you prepare this?" "Oh, we did it in chicken broth. You need to take this and you need to go back and bring me something else."
Right.
So I got my daughter, and she used to hate when Mommy,
We do
no. It's like, Mommy, no, you're not going
But
there.
you have
Yes,
to.
if I'm paying for it, I want what I want.
Well, and that's like when you go into a restaurant. Instead of taking, I tell, when I'm trying to educate the young,
I know,
and they
right?
go into like Little Caesars with the prepared
Right.
All the cheese,
pizza already.
all the dairy.
And I'm already having a fit. I told him, I said, my arteries are clogging because
From looking
of this
at
fake
that,
cheese
looking at
that
it.
you're
Oh, it's
eating.
not even
Because
real,
it's
none of
fake cheese. But on top of that, ask them to prepare it with an ingredient that they have to make it fresh.
Ooh.
So you're not getting it
Kind of
on.
like
Absolutely.
when at the fast food restaurants they would sit there and tell you, hey, tell them you want no salt on your fries, so that way they have to make them fresh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that way they'll,
Absolutely.
yeah. But you know what? I just don't. I don't know. When you go back there and they move stuff back there, I get nervous. If I can't see you, yeah. I used to like restaurants that they would have
The
years
open
ago.
kitchens where you
Yes,
can you can sit at the
you can
counter
see
at the
exactly
kitchen. I
what
love
they're-
that.
Now, Benihana's, I'm one of those. I can
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
as long as you
yeah.
got my stuff in front of me and
I
you
don't
can
like all
flip
those other
knives all you
people at my
want. But,
table.
That's true.
Huh?
too.
I don't like all those other people at my
well, I
table.
don't mind being communal. That's just communal living. It's like like when you eat African food. I'm gonna take you though, you guys.
Yes, yes.
You know,
I
in
love
African
that.
foods
That was
you eat.
delicious. By the way.
Oh, I made some killer African. Did I?
Yes,
Ethiopian?
all vegan, all
vegan.
healthy, natural. Oh,
Yes.
We're gonna
man,
have a
delicious.
smorgasbord here.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we just got to somebody to just break it off. We gotta go to break. Be right back. And they put it on a fire. It didn't even burn. It didn't even burn. And then they had one girl who
Didn't scorch,
didn't do anything, and the girl had rice.
Oh yeah, and she was making that
She was bouncing.
Is there any way we can get the filter on the screen or whatever to brighten it up, please? We're pretty shadowed.
I'm feeling real chocolate today.
It's like, oh, let's stand back here.
I guess the thing that gets me the most is
where's the brightness at?
is knowing that I know.
And the more you know, the more
The flash,
And
right?
thinking about the baby.
you have to think about them because they
Yeah, we can do the flash. That helps.
and their parents probably don't either. So that's the big part.
Well, you heard about this mystery polio-like disease they can't figure out
They
what it
create
is?
that stuff and can't no antibiotic kill it.
Well, my thing is too. You got to think of all the crazy food that's
It was.
that's only helping to contribute to the mystery.
Perpetuate.
So I'm just like,
This is so fast. I was just trying to get some of the stuff that I really to tell people the different types of omnivores. As we are back, you're listening to All About You with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about and some things that you don't. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host.
Daydream.
your wellness warrior, Susan.
I see we're concerned about your wellness. I hope y'all got that. Okay, so guys, we're back talking about death by food. It can actually happen. Yes, it is within range. And I want to make sure that everybody is aware that, people who eat meat are carnivores. And then, and I don't believe that we were meant to eat meat. I haven't eaten in 47 years. I do not believe we were meant to eat it because, first of all, we don't have incisors. We don't have what it takes to claw and go at and tear meat apart. So I don't think we deserve that. Look at our engineer.
He's like, that's crazy.
Are you serious?
What you messing with the pepperoni on his pizza?
And then you have the omnivores who will eat plant and animal materials. And then you have the herbivores, like myself, who eat plant materials. And so, so again, you just, you can get your protein from plants.
You really can.
So you really can. You can survive off that. You have bodybuilders who do just that, so it can be done.
Right. Pro
You
football
don't have,
players.
right, you don't have to
Well, there was
do the gnawing and the eating and the
right.
all
There
that.
was I find myself going more and more towards meatless dishes,
I know,
and
You
even
feel
when I
it.
go out to eat, it's I look and I'm like, okay, well, who's got something vegan? Who's got something?
Yeah, because
meatless?
your body has to
Yeah, I
break
just don't
that
want it.
down.
Not to
Right.
mention, there's no
But
mystery if you don't feel like there's as much of a mystery if you.
And
Right, and I
right.
feel, I'm satisfied and I don't feel
You're not
just
stuffed.
ugh.
Yeah.
Or even the next morning when I get up, I'm not just
Oh,
ugh.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, if there was a viral video that went out about this 72-year-old lady who had been living a raw
Food diet.
food diet for 30-something years
Had to be
or
the
whatever.
best
And she
best
looked,
shape ever.
oh my God, just beautiful. It was unbelievable that she was 72 years old.
She
I think
doesn't
I
eat
know
all
who
the
you're talking
crap.
about.
She didn't even look like she was over 40.
I tell people all the time, if you want to, I have stories I can tell people that made me give up meat at 17, but one of the main ones is if you want to see what food is doing in your stomach, just leave it on the counter for 2-3 days. Because that's how long the meat stays in your body. It doesn't just, and this is why people have problems with constipation and IBS and, Crohn's disease and bloatedness and all that, because you got all this stuff.
And it's especially because we don't chew our food the way we're supposed to.
Good Lord, no.
We're
But
supposed
the
to
food
really
that you're
just
chewing, you're
chew
not
it.
supposed to be. You
No,
don't have
but
any.
But
in
you
the
do.
period.
I know what you mean.
Just for digestion, our digestive system, we're supposed to just really just
It's safe.
break
our
our
time.
food down, right?
Or
And
remove
we
it too
don't. I know
fast.
I don't, because I'm one. A couple of
See,
chews,
with
I got to
vegetables,
swallow. Let's go.
with vegetables,
Because we're on
it's
a
easy to do
hurry.
that. But vegetables easy to do that because you don't have a whole lot of carnivorous chewing. And see, as a kid or a teenager rather, I just didn't like the fact that there was a lot of chewing.
She wanted to get
it needs
down
to
to
be in my
business.
mouth, salivated and gone. But I got to be chewing. That was like, I don't do this. So
Right.
it was too much for me, But I can tell you one thing, guys. It served me. When you turn 50, they suggest that you go and get a colonoscopy. Well, hell, I waited 14 years. I'm 64. I decided to go and get one, in the last couple of months, and I kept,
One of
and
my
the only
friends
reason,
recently
and the
went.
reason I put it off is because everybody kept saying, we'll get a colonoscopy. I'm like, no, I don't need one. What makes you think you don't need one? Because I don't eat like everybody else. I kept insisting that. Anyway, I went to see one of my friends, internal medicine doctor. He insisted that I go. It wasn't his word that mattered. It was my daughter's that said, Mommy, just go. So I go in, good friend of mine who was doing the gastroenterologist, and I wasn't even out. I was in twilight, if you will. And when he finished, and he knows me well, he's known me 30-some years, and he said, Marion, I have not seen a bubblegum pink colon like that since med school. Didn't I come back and tell you guys that?
Oh, wow.
I have not seen a bubblegum
We were sharing
pink.
about the colon.
I was like, he told me, I'll see you in 10 years. Well,
There you
hell, I'm
go.
74
There
years old. You know, but I'm just saying, guys, you start now, you have an opportunity to save yourself. I'm not sure what it was about me 47 years ago to give up meat, other than I didn't like the process. But I think it has served me well. Now, right now, I can get up out of this chair and go run 3 miles, non-stop. Can you do that?
And also,
Can
too,
you
I
do
think
that?
people need to stop being afraid, because even for as much as I've pulled back from meat, and for the things that I do eat, I can't even eat a lot of. But they've got to know they can pull back a little at a time. Increase the amount of vegetables
you
on
have
their
to
plate.
first want to do that.
Exactly. So you can pull back and pull, kind of like what you said, Daydream. You find yourself gravitating more towards a
My body's
plant-based.
craving, craving more nutrients.
Absolutely. And the more of it that you eat, the more of it
The
you
more you'll
want.
want,
I mean,
right.
that's been scientifically proven. Even when I do some all natural fruit and vegetables
Oh, you
capsules.
did delectable dishes
Yes.
on internet. Yeah, I know, right?
But Dr. Sears, the baby doctor, he was saying that he has a means by which to get their taste buds started to crave vegetables. So what they do is they take a little bit of and all it is they let the vegetables just sit out and naturally dry without losing any nutrients. He takes just tells mom at 7 months,
And put it
take
on
a
the
little
tongue.
bit, put it on their tongue.
Get them used to it.
And what they'll do is that'll start to stimulate that part of their taste buds, so they'll start to crave that.
Which is why they
And then
crave
they'll
candy.
recognize it.
You give them
Exactly.
candy and they start, now
Or those
kids-
French fries that
or
you
whatever
always see
you
those
start to
kids
give
that
them.
they're always running around with a fistful of fries
Right.
and a chicken leg.
But
fried.
guys, talking about babies, this is not
They
gonna,
do look cute.
this is not going to be pretty. Just the thought process of thinking that 95% of McDonald's hamburgers.
Get ready, y'all.
I've said this before.
Get ready, y'all.
Nobody's paying attention.
You're not ready.
And there was a documentary on it.
95%
Yep,
of McDonald's meat has been proven to have human DNA, and it is children and babies' DNA, not adults. So in other words, you have to correlate. What about all these missing children? Because again, it was from what I've researched. They're taking the organs of the little children, and then they are grinding the meat of the body that is left, which is why you don't find bodies or hear anything.
Everything, people, they just miraculously disappear.
Miraculously just gone off the face of the earth, and that meat, guys, is ground up and put in your hamburgers and your sausage.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna get at earlier.
Okay.
It's just like, I remembered. I'm like, wait, I'm gonna
Okay.
spoil it. So get this, people. Oh, I would know if I'm eating this and if I'm eating that. Really?
Forget that.
Would you really? Because get this.
Get to them.
They said human meat tastes exactly like pork.
You would know. That's what they
So
said.
how will we know the difference? Is this why they kept pushing? You remember for a
The
minute
other-
they were pushing
the-
pork.
The
The other white meat.
Yeah.
Is that
It's a
why?
gang.
Because it's like, wait a minute, pork is high in sodium and everything else. Like, at first it was a no, and then out of nowhere, oh,
It became okay.
Right.
It's just like eggs. Now they have these fake eggs. Have you seen the fake eggs?
Yes.
no, where?
And listen,
Yes.
listen, if you crack the fake egg, let's just say that my little thing, right, my little yellow egg, you crack this egg, when the yolk comes out, it doesn't even move. You know how yolk runs and all that?
Oh, it just stays there, so that's how you know it's fake. It's not just because the
The
egg's still
yolk
cold?
stays there.
It's
The yolk-
like,
Did you see
I
that?
did.
The yolk doesn't move. The yolk kind of runs and gets all to the white part. That yolk stays right there.
because that fake egg
That
can't.
fake egg
Can't
can't move.
move.
Like, yeah, right. And so, they've also got this rice that is not good. I think they've got spaghetti. They've got.
They do.
They also
You
have
said
fruit
cabbage.
juices.
Oh, the
Cabbage.
fruit juices when they were putting all the apple
Everything.
juice.
Everything.
But
in there.
if you don't bother to read it, it tells you right there.
And
There no one's lying to you, so we can't sit there and get mad and say, oh, well, they're trying to sneak it in. No,
No.
that's just how bad it's gotten. That they're not even trying.
And they
Okay,
don't
they're
care
letting you
whether
know straight out, and we're just
going
sheeple.
for it. We just
You know, we
follow
just,
it.
oh, okay, I'm just gonna do this. It says natural
always
fruit,
do
and it
this.
clearly says made with natural and artificial concentrates. At least 1% juice.
See, that's the part.
What?
1% juice.
Why did you
And
even
how
bother
is
to
this
put it out
natural
there?
apple juice? How is this natural grape juice? I don't get it.
We don't pay attention, and so they've dumbed us down so much.
Yeah.
Until
They're like, here,
they're not
dummy.
even concerned.
Okay.
Right? They're not even concerned about our
Oh, yeah.
intellect. It's like, oh, they're dummies. Just give it to them.
Yeah.
They'll pay for it. Somebody will buy it.
And they won't care because they're in such a hurry. They're so
They'll
stressed
just eat
out.
it, go,
They're just
and
gonna be. It tastes good. Thank you very much. And who was it? You were talking about apple juice. I was also reading that they're taking some. The people are like, oh, well, at least it has apples in it. No. Some of those apples have so many pesticides
Oh
in them.
yes.
That now you're getting not just the apple juice in with all of your other juices, but it has so many pesticides.
They use it as a base for other juices. What I read.
Well, it's been found that there's traces of what is it, arsenic in apple juice. So they were telling parents, well, you know, it's just traces. So if you just water it down.
I found something the other day where you know how they make gummy bears. They use the same wax with gummy bears that they use on painting car. I mean, we did a show a while back.
I love gummies.
Yeah, I mean, but some of the stuff that we've done, a couple years back, basically is the same thing. Some of these dyes that we think
Absolutely.
are just, you have no clue. And I could not believe. Now, I'm not a big honey person. I will do cassava, which is hard for me to find, but I'll do some sort of grade A dark maple amber syrup, which is like $17 for a bottle from Whole Foods. I'll buy that. And or now I'm starting to use molasses a little bit more because it has potassium in it, but that's a nasty taste.
Ooh, that stuff is,
But see,
you better be committed.
See, I've never had pure molasses before, but I love ginger
molasses.
snaps, and I love.
Oh, I do too. That's not the same thing,
Not the
girlfriend.
same. That blackstrap molasses.
No, that blackstrap molasses is real.
It's religion.
Yeah.
If you drink,
now I definitely want to try it.
Okay, I got some.
And if I'm, the thing is too, I'm like with honey. If I'm gonna do honey, I have to be very particular because
honey's fake too now. Y'all
right,
fake honey.
they're faking honey.
I
I
don't
was
know
like,
that they're faking honey. You know, it's like we have no clue. They're also faking champagne and a few other things.
Right, and they're not even able to call it champagne because it doesn't come from the region where it. I thought, you know what?
Yeah, it's just wow. It's just too much going on. But and then they have something now. Also I found out from just as a good thing about foods, if you do eat bananas, but do you know that they actually eat the entire banana?
Who?
Well, it's edible. You have people in other parts of the country.
Oh, you mean
other parts
the
of the country,
skin
the
and
skin and everything. I mean, you eat
really?
the whole,
Monkeys won't even eat that, so
I don't know. You need to check this since you got your phone out. But it's called, and then they have the little string. You know how when you peel a banana, you have the little string.
Yeah.
Sometimes I examine things.
Me too.
So you pull a little string. They said that is called Folum bundles, and that's where a lot of the nutrients are.
the stringy part.
The stringy part. They say it's a little bit bitter, but that's where all your nutrients are.
And you know what? It's also been said that you need to eat bananas when they're very ripe. Like people tend to throw them out when they have spots.
If I get a spot, it's gone. I have one day.
But you're supposed to.
But
They say that's actually when it's the most nutrient rich.
I don't care when that is, but I have one day. I have one day when
make
that
it into a
banana
smoothie or
is
something.
perfect.
Freeze it in a smoothie because you won't know.
Yeah,
no,
put it in a smoothie.
I know. I started to freeze them now, but it has to be
dip it in chocolate.
Now that's
you really won't notice the difference.
But I will go.
That's the Mexican.
It's just there to hold the
chocolate. Chocolate covered frozen
But
banana.
I would go and buy bananas, but it has to be. I have one window when it's flawless, no spots. It's not green. It's that.
See, that's how I.
That's how. Now, if it gets a brown spot.
Oh no, I'll still eat
I give it to my neighbor.
If it gets brown spot, I freeze it. It's in my smoothie.
Well, I've started doing that now because I was throwing them away and giving them away.
Well, just for the record, the bananas my mom uses for her banana nut bread.
Okay, then.
Extremely ripe, so don't worry. You're getting all the nutrients from that one.
Okay.
But they say that's when
mom
the best
is killer
making it because it adds that natural
So the good thing you don't see what
they
they look like because you would be
Did your mom make a was it pumpkin?
A pumpkin.
Okay, it's that time, Mom. Is she listening to that? Mom, it's that time. Pumpkin time.
We love
pumpkin
pumpkins,
cake.
Mom.
Yeah, pumpkin bread. We like that.
We'll have it right here on the show. We'll
Yeah,
slice
shout out
it
to
up.
Mom, absolutely. But guys, you know, one of the worst things I think that precipitated bad eating outside of the onset of fast foods in the 60s.
Right.
If you look back, during the 60s, everybody was lean.
Absolutely.
Everybody was lean.
Well, because we had Jack LaLanne.
We did,
Jack
but more
juicing.
importantly, nobody
was juicing.
Fast food were not in there.
Not unless it was a bucket or an occasional arch.
Yes.
Right.
Because I don't think I remember
And those
a
were
whole
still
lot
you would
more.
go out.
Right.
You had to
That's,
go
out
out to
for
do
that.
that.
It wasn't. Yeah, it
Well, we
wasn't
used
an
to
all
go
day every
to
day.
back then. I'm dating myself. Back to the drive-in.
oh, same. Yep.
You remember drive-in? You had little.
I love
Oh,
drive-ins.
yes.
You know, weren't they
There's
nice?
still
Yeah.
drive-ins here. There's two within
Are you
the state of
serious?
Houston area. Yes, ma'am.
You're
They're so cool.
I used to. Our family used to go. You put the big thing on the outside of the window, the speaker.
Yes.
Yep, still with the double feature.
I
So you
know.
watch over
With
here,
the
that's them. Just
serious
turn around and watch
eats.
the other.
I know we're getting
Serious
caught up, guys.
eats.
Sorry about that. But anyway, what I said earlier is I think what precipitated us eating bad outside of fast food is, like I said, the inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
This
The
right
food
here.
pyramid. Can y'all see the
Y'all
pyramid?
can't see this little pyramid. Don't follow this.
That's
No.
completely wrong.
Totally
Turn it
wrong.
upside down.
There you go.
That's how it
Let's
needs to
get
be.
this one. Get you closer.
Yeah.
That's right. That's how it needs to be. This is to,
And
this
don't
is-
feel the need
All that
to
bread that's
overdo
down
that
at the bottom
dairy.
should be that little bitty point.
Yes, we don't need it. What does this say? You don't have no. But anyway, it tells us that we need to have all of these. One of y'all have some information that I think it breaks it down as to how much
We need to have.
You know. Yeah.
Okay, fruits. We need to focus on whole fruits, and this is actually what the plate should look like.
Yes.
So
Don't feel like you need all that dairy, though.
You don't. That dairy is
Don't
not.
feel like you
they,
need it.
you know,
Okay,
it says this much dairy, but really, how about no dairy?
Dr.
No,
Sabian
that's
told you there's only
much,
one
much
disease.
better.
What did he tell us what it was?
Mucus.
It's
Yes.
mucus.
See that? Making sure.
Inflammation.
You know, but again, they've got us down for all these different 6 or 7 servings of. I thought we all had that. 6 or 7 servings of carbohydrates and outrageous stuff. This stuff made
Oh,
us
this one?
fat.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. We got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we
it is
go.
there. That's
Wow,
where it's somewhere,
wow,
yeah.
wow.
So what does that say?
It's saying 2-3 servings of a meat, bean,
2 or 3
eggs,
servings a day.
Yepper. Then
Wow.
it's saying 2 to 3 servings of a milk, yogurt, or cheese fruit. 3 to 5 veggies.
Well,
2 to
because
4 fruit. 6 to 11 bread. Really, y'all?
That's what I said. That's
Really?
ridiculous. 6 to
All those
11
carbs.
servings.
And you wonder how come you got brain fog
And
and,
see-
you itch.
right,
Okay.
And you know the reason they were pumping all that cheese and dairy was
Mhm.
they kept saying how we needed our calcium.
Well,
Milk it does the body
But see,
good.
I've always had an argument even with that because a cow has 5 stomachs. We do not.
Right.
Our children are to have breast milk from its mom,
With
Mhm.
all
not breasts
the-
from calf and cow and all this other stuff. That's not what we're supposed to have. I think it's something called casein or something that's in it that
Mhm.
we're not
It
supposed
is.
to have.
It's
You
not
know,
good for
goat's
us.
milk.
The goat's milk is
Mhm.
a
Is
little
that
bit.
healthier?
It's healthier than cows.
Right.
I love goat cheese.
Yeah,
Do you?
yeah,
I
and
can't.
it's a lot more rich.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
I love it.
But dairy is just, you can, I guess you can insert it into your diet, but you need to be monitoring how much of it you eat because once you start doing the dairy thing, a lot of times it causes allergies
Oh, yeah.
and inflammation
And the way that
Mucus,
it's
that is-
processed, you're not sure that you're getting quality.
That's
cheese.
right.
Like I tell people, yep, I still eat butter, but guess what? Grass fed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's so funny. You were talking about the allergic reactions and everything because, as a matter of fact, last night I was talking with someone and they were telling me how they cut out a lot of cheese and dairy products because they say, hey, I think that's kind of what was triggering my allergies.
Absolutely.
You know, I noticed this, and then I cut it one day, and then I was fine, and went back to it the next day, and it happened again. And so they said their skin has been clear ever since, and I said absolutely, it's because we're not supposed to have
We're
that.
not supposed to have all that, But see, they've created this false sense of security with the government, special interest groups, these PAC groups and all this other stuff. They're just pushing their agenda.
Absolutely, because you figure if you're pushing
If I
grilled cheese
got
sandwiches,
dairy, my family on dairy farms. Oh hell yeah, I'm pushing dairy. If I got to go to Congress, I'm going to DC and I'm pushing
Absolutely.
dairy.
regardless of the fact that it's killing you and your
Doesn't
family members.
matter. This
Especially
is-
when you hear this. I've heard stories of people who own dairy farms. I'm from the Midwest, guys, so I hear a lot of people when they're talking about that kind of thing, and you will hear them literally say. They're talking about their family members dying of these diseases that are only perpetuated by the fact that
The food.
every meal, everything they ate was covered in
Gravies
cheese
and
and milk,
fried.
and yeah. And you're like, but yet you still sell it, knowing that it is killing your family members as well as everyone else.
Oh, everybody knows. All these families and countries, they know
Right.
all this. They know exactly these companies and corporations. They know exactly what they're doing because I think as I mentioned, even from what you have there, there's a direct correlation between food killing you and introducing you gradually but slowly into big pharma. It's coming.
Yes.
You cannot get around
Absolutely.
it. That's the whole plan. There is
'cause
no
there's
money
more-
in curing.
Right. There's the money is
If I
in
can't
making us
do
sick.
what?
That's why they loaded us with carbs.
Exactly.
Which turned into sugars and fats.
Well, that's exactly
We-
right.
you
But
know,
see, when I
Heart
gave,
disease.
Right.
Oh, eat all this meat and everything else, and
it's
okay.
too much.
And in the meantime, your heart's entirely clogged and enlarged, and
Oh, you know, I truly believe that the reason that I at 17 decided I didn't want to eat meat, but I did. And see, at that time there was no Whole Foods, there was no Central Market, there were no books even written saying, you know,
Well, you were all
protein
on your
helps
own.
burn fat. I was just
Right.
on my own. So, me being 17 in college, you know, deciding, okay, I'm gonna give this meat up. Therefore, I continued to eat carbs. Then I think from having eaten all these carbs, that turns into sugar.
right.
Yes.
So I think that's how I got diabetes, is from
Oh,
the,
I'm going to
the
that.
carbohydrate.
Absolutely. I'm going to
Absolutely.
that.
So I'm just saying, so again, while I was, you know, okay and gave forethought to the first thing, this, you know, the second thing is getting the diabetes. I'd never even thought about that.
But and the thing is, a lot of people,
Because there was
even
no
that are younger
information.
than
There was
you,
no information.
who there is information on, they've done the same thing. And I think that that's because when you're talking, once again, we're talking about flavors. Because they feel like they're missing something with the meat, so they try to offset that with the flavor. Because I mean, I tell anybody, breadaholic,
Oh, I love
I had
bread.
to
Same.
breaking that habit.
Who?
I thought me and my husband was gonna have to break up.
Because
I was like,
Right.
Give me some warm bread, and a glass of
Oh
wine,
man, I'm
And that was all
good.
we
and a
need.
good cigar with
Oh.
days on.
Right.
I ain't had that.
And then and the thing is, don't give me an opportunity to slap a little butter on it.
I know,
Oh,
right?
What?
Or
I
dip it in
know.
olive oil and some herbs.
I
Why you
know,
go
I
there?
know, right? That's
Oh,
the Italian food.
See,
Yeah.
we could tear it up, and I tell people all the time. I've had conversations with people when they're trying to go, well, I should be able to, if I can have fruit. Fruit's got sugar in it. I can have bread, but it's not.
That's a natural.
the
That's
same.
different. It's a natural sugar.
Exactly. The way your body breaks down a natural sugar and the way your body breaks down added in sugar and
That's like
flour.
cocaine. That's like cocaine.
Absolutely.
And all white.
It
See,
is.
all those things.
The
can't-
other white girl.
That's right. That's exactly. And they
What do you
came.
call it, white horse?
They
It's called
came
white
in
horse
No,
brown.
no, that's heroin.
Oh, sorry.
But they came,
That's
most of these things in their natural form were brown. Rice,
Like raw brown sugar,
raw brown
Even
sugar.
black rice.
sugar cane.
Yeah, black rice is
Love me some
excellent.
sugar cane.
You know, oh, I do too.
I'm
But
gonna have
you-
to make some bring some in there. I didn't know you like black
oh,
rice.
I love black rice. I think it's called forbidden rice.
Yeah.
I
Shout
remember
out to my
paying- I
girlfriend
remember
Pam
paying-
for introducing me.
I used to pay. I remember paying about $20 a
I bet
pound.
you did.
'Cause I
Because
had-
people know it's good for you.
yeah, I paid $20. You know,
Well,
for a pound of it.
And the more expensive it was, the less people wanted to buy it,
Right.
which means, yay, less people can afford to be healthy.
Well, that's true, and that's another
Can
thing.
And we're
afford
still
to be
going to the doctor.
right.
Yeah, they have created a dichotomy to where you have to have money to be healthy,
Right.
and that's sad. There should be no correlation between those two things.
Right. And two, even finding in the coaching world, even finding a means by which to tell people who are strapped for cash initially and trying to show them, okay,
Yeah, I know you
when
are.
you start out, let's start out in a different way. So you can't buy grass-fed butter. Okay, let's get the best quality you can get for now. Or
Don't
you
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I can't believe it's not butter and stuff. What is that?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help them. Let's at least get you started
On the right track.
on the right track,
Right.
because as you start to omit things from your diet, then you'll start to be better able to afford what's good
And to
for you.
assert what you really need. And so
Exactly.
the more money you make, at least by the time you make the money, you know what to buy.
Right.
Well, not even
Right.
just that, but the healthier you'll be, so you'll be spending less on all that medication that
Right.
you're having to take now. So
Absolutely.
you're saving
Right.
yourself money.
Well, you know, a lot of the thing with big pharma and all this other stuff is depopulation. So they don't care if you die.
Right, because everyone's
That's why I
getting
tell
younger
you,
and
they
younger.
serve
Mhm.
food for every celebration, graduations, birthday
Mhm.
parties,
Right, and for this
anniversaries,
to be
and then when
a
you die,
civilized-
there's food at the funeral.
Right,
Oh yeah. And it's never
And what?
good for you.
Okay.
Casseroles covered in cheese and butter.
Oh yeah, all
Oh,
comfort
yeah.
food.
Beefs and porks.
But and then for this to be the most civilized country in the world,
know.
we have such a high mortality rate when it comes to childbirth.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
ridiculous.
And
Especially here in
among
Texas.
among black women, especially.
Especially here in Texas.
Oh yeah. And
So
even-
it's ridiculous.
Well, you know, we did something on that. We released a lot of information on that topic when we did the show on the Billboard.
Yes.
Remember the Billboard they did? They were
Absolutely.
telling black women
The to be or not to be, self-care.
having
Right.
an abortion, self-care.
I'm interested to
Where
hear
did y'all
from
get
everyone
that?
who's
And how
who's
could
listening
somebody
and
think that was
watching.
okay?
yeah right. I'm interested to hear from everyone who's listening and watching. for those of you who are, especially tons of people, that's all I've been seeing lately on the feeds is, going to the keto diet, or even those who continue with the raw, the raw food diet. Any type of lifestyle change, I'd love to hear from you guys. What have you noticed when you changed up your food like that? You have to have noticed a big difference. And we talked about that on one of these last shows.
Oh yeah.
That documentary on, when was it? What was it on Netflix?
Oh,
okay.
The documentary with the food, where they were talking about when they changed it for 5 weeks.
What the hell?
What the hell?
Yeah, that they had families switch over into a more keto friendly, but basically just a healthier diet.
Right.
Which was 0 to no carbs.
Well, that's what everybody.
Key right there, people. 0 to no carbs, right there. That was the biggest
thing. But yet they
thing,
tell you 10 or 11 carbs.
But huge
here.
health benefits. Huge health benefits, especially with their little autistic girl. That's what
that was
impressed me the most.
amazing. Yeah, and people need to understand too. There's so many people that don't know about the carb and the sugar connection.
Oh,
because when I tell them that,
directly,
and it's usually someone who's a diabetic, that they may still be eating meat and other stuff, but they'll say, "See, you knew, you investigated, you figured." But when I tell someone they're talking about it, and I was like, "So wait a minute, you're a diabetic and you were eating this, and this," and they're like, "Yeah, it's just bread."
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Let's talk. Let's talk. We have to have a conversation because I want you to live.
I have here that sugar and corn syrup have been pumped into the food chain, causing a dramatic illness, an increase in illness, and they know this. Most diseases, which is another theory, well, I guess it's pretty much well knowledge that what Dr. Sabi would say, a lot grows in sugar.
Oh yes, it's
a lot
diseases
grows in sugar.
Love it.
And so they found a way to put sugar, even in salt. Sugar's in ketchup. Sugar's in everything.
They were saying that's how come McDonald's was so popular, because they said even though it doesn't necessarily taste sweet in the conventional way, it has sugar in it, so that's what keeps people coming back.
Well, there's some of these fast food places, I read this a while back, they have something that causes you to overeat.
Carrageenan?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
what's it called?
It's carrageenan. It's a whole bunch of...
Yeah, it's something in the food that makes you like the fries.
It is.
They have the worst fries ever. I mean,
they used to be good back in the day.
They sure did.
And then they switched them up. Because see, the thing was,
it's different.
they were
ever now.
Yeah, PETA and a bunch of vegan organizations went after them because they found out they were using beef oil. And that's why they were so delicious.
I know, right?
And then they switched them up.
Yeah. So now they do something.
And now they're just plastic.
Yeah. You can leave them in the drawer.
Oh,
or leave them in a soup pocket.
No, there's another one, and I'll post it. I'll once maybe on the next break I'll look it up. But on Netflix, there's another documentary. It had to do about McDonald's, and these are the farmers who grow their potatoes specifically for the fries for McDonald's. They're the only ones.
They're the only ones.
And they said they're laden with pesticides and everything else because McDonald's wants them to be a certain size and to yield a certain amount of fries per potato. Okay, per potato.
So,
and the farmers themselves will not. They can't get near the food. They're having to wear masks even as it's still in the ground. Okay, and then once they harvest it, they have to let it sit locked away without anyone getting in contact because of the toxins being released.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and they said they would never. The farmers themselves said that, and those who work those fields said they would never allow their children to get anywhere near a McDonald's.
Because
they would
people know.
Because they know exactly what's going into their food.
I was going to say just before you said that about their specific way that they grow their potatoes, and it has to be a certain size. But I had no clue that they were even breaking down the rendering of how many fries per potato.
And didn't they say the same thing about the actual burger meat?
I don't know.
There's still
the pink slime.
Yeah.
What pink slime? You wrote something about that. What is that?
Yeah, there was a big thing on it on pink slime saying basically it's grown cloned meat.
Yeah.
Ground beef, the cloned meat, and or where they're just grinding everything up and then they just shoot it out and just
along with children.
It's just a pink blob. And then they freeze it, shape into a patty, freeze it, and there's your 100% pure beef hamburger.
See, nobody
at your local fast food restaurant.
Again, people are being sidetracked and dealing with all of the things that are useless to worry about. Like I said, twerking. I always go back to that because people are concerned with Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. Who gives a damn? They got money.
My thing is,
they can afford to have all this nonsense and
y'all are watching them, and you're dying.
Exactly. Well, just like when I said the thing on the rappers who were eating. Some of them were vegans and vegetarians. I said, "You're so worried about what you're saying. Oh, you know what though? We've been told we need to go
Hold that
break.
We'll be right
We got
back.
excited. But here it is. And it's a common ingredient. It's called carrageenans. It's a common ingredient, but what it is it has no.
And what is it in?
It's in pretty much everything.
We don't have a clue. We're just.
Like I stopped drinking. What was it? I still drink Silk. What was the other almond milk company? Diamond.
Diamond. Okay.
Almond Breeze,
That's
Diamond.
the
Almond
Diamond
Breeze.
makes the.
They still had because I was
man.
loaded. You can drink Silk.
Silk is okay.
Yeah. But you have to
Silk
listen.
is soy, right?
No. They have
But I
a
can't
soy.
have soy.
They have a soy, but they have almond milk. They have a cashew milk. They have a coconut milk.
Yeah, cashew is real creamy.
Yes, I put it in a lot of
I
shakes
know.
and stuff like that. But they were saying that even in bacon and random stuff that it doesn't even need to be in. And when I
They just
investigated,
put it in just to make you sick. They don't care. What the hell?
because what it does is it makes you crave it.
That's
It's
what I meant when I said they have
thicken.
something that makes you
Yeah.
go back for their food, even though it's awful.
I'm having them manually type all the
But you
things.
know,
30 seconds?
well, they don't
And
care.
Okay, thanks.
and the nitrites and the nitrates that they have in all sorts of stuff too. That's another one that makes you crave things like meats and starches.
Well, hold that punching break on the air.
It's called nitrates and
Oh, yeah.
nitrites.
10 seconds?
Some more unnecessariness.
All right, family, good evening. We are back. You're listening to All About You with OMG and Friends, and we are seriously, aggressively talking about death. Aggressively, guys, talking about death by
Passionately.
food. Passionately, that's right.
Passionately.
Death by food. You were saying something about nitrates or something when we were off air?
Yes, you know what? It took me a while. Someone was talking about nitrates and nitrites because what they are is it's a, and I'm going to read just the nitrate, the actual definition of it. It's a salt or ester of nitric acid containing all these other chemicals, and it is used to treat your food. And what it does is it actually makes you crave
That's
it.
what I said. I know
Because it's, if you look at your bacon and your lunch meats and things like that, it has no nutritional value, y'all, none. But when they put it into your food, it makes you crave and want
and
more,
overeat.
more.
And overeat. It makes you overeat.
Absolutely.
It's just like what they did with tobacco. They
Mhm.
purposely put nicotine in it, only purposely
to
just
cause
for
you to
addictive,
be addicted.
addictive properties. That's the only reason why. There was no other reason why
This
they
is
put it in
what-
there. And they said it themselves, well, yeah, it has addictive properties, which is why we put it in.
Same thing with sugar. They
Exactly.
know sugar. If we could just, if the sugar were not in our diets.
Right, and there's
Diabetes would be
MRIs,
reduced.
there's studies, and you can see there's videos all over YouTube and everywhere else on social media. But you can see the brain scans.
Oh yeah.
Of, you know, no sugar and then with sugar. It's
Yes.
the same person, and you
It's
see
like
the
you're on
difference.
drugs. It's like you're on drugs. It's no
Absolutely.
different, you know. But we want to talk a little bit about cannibalism, guys.
Lord
This
have
is the
mercy.
new
Here you go.
thing, and we've talked about this before. I know Dave, you're getting ready to swallow over. Go ahead, get it out. Go ahead.
Good.
You know, but the cannibalism. You know, a lot of countries. You have Japan. You have Spain. You have France and Germany and all these other countries that are actually serving on their menus. They even have a
Special
a
restaurants.
cannibalism sushi.
Lord.
So you have
Oh.
sushi now rather than eating with, you know, raw fish. You're now eating
Human sushi.
yes. You know, and so I read about this a couple of months back whereby there was a guy in Nigeria. He'd gone to a restaurant and he had this exorbitant. He asked for some piece of meat. Didn't know that it was human meat, but it was very expensive, like $500 or $600.
Oh.
So when the guy comes to the table, and the
See,
guy,
you don't ask. I ask. What is
what
this?
is this?
Exactly.
You know, it's not even
What
about the price. I just want to know. I've never heard of
What
this.
am I
What is
eating?
it?
What am I eating?
Exactly. And I don't want to have
put
the
anything in their
scientific
mouth.
crazy
They don't
definition.
want to know, so they just eat blindly. That's why they can tell us anything. So this meat, this particular piece of tastes like pork, was around $600 some dollars. And the guy was like, "Why am I?" And so this particular place in Nigeria got shut down. But then by that time, it was already migrating here. So if it's happening in other countries, our country allows everything. Everything's open season. So naturally, when I researched here, we already had it in McDonald's and everybody else.
Sure.
So
And-
it was already here.
And if I'm remembering correctly, doesn't when you're eating your own species flesh, isn't there something where like psychologically
It's called
you start
Kuru,
craving it?
K-U-R-U, something like that, because they claim that's what Hillary Clinton and the royals, because they they
Right, with that
speculate
spirit
they eat babies,
cooking,
all that spirit
absolutely.
cooking,
The
exactly.
Well, we've seen photos. We
We've
know
seen all that,
these
right.
are authenticated.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a real thing, people. Spirit cooking, and that is, they're eating the flesh of their enemy because they'll gain their strength from them.
They're eating babies, and they're putting. There's somewhere in
Drinking
Coca-Cola.
blood.
There's somewhere in Coca-Cola that they were using embryonic from abortions and stuff. They were taking that, and some kind of way it was in your Coca-Cola. But guys, I'm not making this up. You can look it up. And as I say, for cities, you have New York has a hot spot, cannibalistic place, restaurant. So does LA.
It's amazing to me how people can believe that sort of thing makes them more exotic or makes them more upper crust if they're able to do this.
Well,
It's like there's something about.
Well, you have so much money, you don't know what else to do.
Right.
I think it's just
I
ridiculous.
can think of them a lot of
But
stuff.
I'm just saying that's where I think they go. Because,
Exactly.
They said, my first research, it said that cannibalism was actually the first Advil. When you had a headache,
You know what?
go eat so-and-so's ear.
Here, just don't nibble on that right now.
You don't get a lot. Just a little corner.
Can
Just
you
a little
believe
corner.
that?
Wow.
They said that was the first Advil, was the human body. People would eat.
You know what? That's
No,
like you walking up.
attention.
You know
And
what? I
then-
had a taste
and
of
it's,
Billy the other day, and the Billy was tender.
Billy was good, right?
Billy
You
was
know,
good.
and then
He has a whole
and then
other
they have they do have some. We enjoy this way too much. There is something, guys, called self-cannibalism, when people will peel their skin or suck their own blood. And also there's something called placentography, when people save the placenta after they give birth.
Oh
I've
my
heard
God,
about
yes.
That is self-cannibalism.
They had that on the radio the other morning, maybe a month ago, and they were talking about how great and wonderful it's a bonding experience with their child. This man was like, I've done it with
It's
all my kids.
cannibalism. It's damn
This and
cannibalism.
that, the nutrients and everything. That's yes and no. I understand if I'm out in the wild and I just gave birth to my child and I need
And I'm hungry.
sustenance.
Yeah, then
I understand that. I
yeah.
understand the need to have done that back then.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but no.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something.
I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I mean,
People
we're
are
just-
too strung out on the wrong thing.
They are, and see, and they're open to just about anything ridiculous.
Exactly.
Then when you try to talk to them and bring to them some substance, some empowering information that helps you live your life so that you can be 80 years old
Right.
and look like the lady who ate raw foods for 40 years.
Right. They act like we're
Be
making this
80 and
stuff
look
up.
like you're 35.
Absolutely, because your foods, your natural foods, has a vibration
Exactly.
and it has energy.
And
So
it was
when you-
made.
And it was made specifically for your body.
Mhm.
When you start bringing all these other things that's out of sorts for the human body to try to process, and it doesn't work.
They wonder why they have fibrous tumors and all this
This
other
is, they,
stuff
don't- they
going
can't.
on.
What can't they figure out? This is right there.
But and my thing is, when you're starting to see an 8-year-old who looks like she's 16 in development, you have to go back to the food and find out
It
what's
starts
going
with
on.
food.
And my thing is, moms, it ain't cute for your kids to be eating like grown-ups.
No.
Oh, they just got a healthy appetite. You know
No,
what?
that's your fault.
That's
You can't
conditioned
do
them that way.
It's your
Exactly.
fault.
Meanwhile, the poor babies can't breathe. We're not even talking about how
Their
they're
teeth are all rot.
teased.
Those
Right.
kids with the silver teeth, people.
You know what? Don't
That's
even get
because
started.
they're straight rotten teeth. They were already
Exactly.
rotten because they left the pacifier. They let them with the chupon in their mouth
Mhm.
and just all kind of go to sleep. Here's your Kool-Aid. And
Exactly.
and
In
all
your
the
bottle.
apple juice, in your bottle, and go to sleep with this. You know,
Mhm.
come
That's
on.
not good. That's
You're
not
not
good.
Or they're
ready.
feeding them Tampico. That's
you're
not
not ready
orange
to be a
juice.
parent,
It's
don't
sugared
do it.
orange
Oh my
If
juice.
you're not ready to have a child, don't do it. It's too serious
It really is.
to
And you're
half
not.
do it.
And for as much as you will want to protect your child, you want to protect them for real. Give them the nutrients that they need to not be laden with diseases. That's
I
the way to
know.
protect them.
Yeah, like I said here, like I said, in the 17th century, well before Advil, European would ingest ground up mummies and for headaches and stuff like that for
Migraines.
migraines. I mean,
Okay. Well, it was
does your
the
eye
same thing for
Coke? Go over there and just take off the Coke out her eye.
It's okay. Just take hers. She's got an extra.
It's gonna make you feel good
And you
immediately.
get to see clearer.
Oh, we are wrong. We are wrong.
I know that's really not good.
Oh,
But
my
you know
God.
what we're saying, guys. You really have to pay attention to what you eat, and it may cost a lot to eat better, but sometimes if it costs more to eat better, then you eat less,
And not to
and
mention
that will
only
help
to
you lose
start.
some weight,
But
And you
also-
actually save money.
and you actually
Right,
save some money.
And let me say this too. When you're eating higher quality foods, you do not need as much.
You don't need as much.
Because
And you
all of
crave
that-
the junk.
Exactly, because what it's doing is the craving of the other, they're making it where you want it. But eating quality that is truly feeding your body, you're like, okay, I'm satisfied.
God created all that we're supposed to have.
It's less junk.
Exactly.
We didn't know what junk was.
Yeah,
years ago.
it's so it's less junk that's just sitting in there.
But what we
empty
do is,
calories.
but what we do is we go to all of this new technology, all these foods that are genetically modified and hybrid. Something called a pluot.
What the
A
heck
pluot
is
is part plum and part apricot.
There's also a donut peach.
Oh.
Is it?
There's
Oh
a
yeah,
donut
I buy
peach.
those all the time. I like the donut peach. Yeah.
But
they're
did
very
you know
sweet.
that's a GMO?
I did
a
not know
GMO
that. But
free,
I used to eat
ma'am?
those. I did used to eat those because they're sweeter.
That
But
they
they're
were purposely
expensive.
made that way. Yes.
But
And
you
those
know,
baby-
everything's a high.
Oh yeah, and those baby carrots that you got in
You have to have a license and
God
trademark.
didn't make
to
baby
grow those.
carrots.
Really?
Yes.
I was gonna say, yeah, because
Yes, and I looked at that last
they're
night.
very sweet. I buy
I
them.
have
Absolutely.
never heard of that until now.
It's a donut. It's a
Yeah,
round
donut
flat
peach.
Oh yeah, I buy
I'll
them
post-
quite
I'll
often.
post
I haven't
it.
bought
It's
them
My
like
lately
goodness,
I'll
yeah.
post a picture of it.
because I did some research on it. And I was like, anything that takes itself out of how God
Right.
initially
Right.
planned for it to grow,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be good.
If I want a plum and an apricot or
It's
a plum
called
and
a
a peach,
pluot. It's called a
pluot,
pluot.
guess what? I'll slice it, put it together,
Okay,
eat it at the
but
same time.
but
Make a
that's
sandwich.
But that's
Make a
how
fruit
they, that's how they do their meat now. People don't understand. They're gluing your meat.
Yes, yes,
You want
absolutely.
to talk about that? Because
They're taking all the parts that are thrown away, the fat, the gristle, some bones, and they're utilizing what they call a meat glue to put it together, and they're making you pay prime prices for that in restaurants when
you're not getting anything except
But see,
scraps of meat.
They've marinated it good for you.
Got some sauce or something.
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
good sauce on it. You think it's the most tender meat you've ever
Now,
had.
that's how somebody can very easily be tricked into eat. Well, you've already eaten human DNA when you eat at McDonald's, but that's how a restaurant can bring to you, or a chef with Epicurean skills. He could probably do something to a piece of human meat,
And
and you would never know because most people wouldn't even ask. Daydream would, I would, you
I
would.
would.
What is this?
What is
Yeah,
this?
person
Like
like, just
just
get
a
the knife and
special
fork ready.
sauce.
They
or
get
whatever
a
you
knife.
got
They
on.
get the
That's like
knife
that
and fork ready.
What do they call that one burger that's for vegans? That's supposed to taste, supposed to
The
look
soy
like
beef?
blood.
The
It's
what?
supposed to, yeah.
See, I
It's
don't
not
know any of
soy.
that.
I don't think though. It's
What are you
something
talking
else
about?
where it's supposed to look like it's bleeding and all this other stuff.
Who
And
wants that?
somebody did because they paid some serious dollar bills to taste it, and I was like,
Uh-uh.
I don't need.
I
That's not
can't
right.
even. I don't eat meat, but they do.
I don't
make
eat
a-
my veggies to bleed.
I
Is that kind of the
understand,
point?
but
And not
they
eating
make
meat?
a lot of stuff. Like they'll make stuff that looks like chicken wings or stuff that looks like sausage or hot dogs. I don't want any remembrance of what that. Why are you trying to sell me that?
Wait,
I
I'm
don't
scared
want
of.
that.
I'm scared
scared
of
of
all
hot
the
dogs.
Well,
processed
they're just
That's
helping us
that you
chew it up
did.
better. That's all. You
And-
make it easier to chew. That's
Yeah,
all
but
they're trying to
you're
do.
recreating.
Jeez.
You're creating the habit, what you've seen. We all grew up with. I remember as a kid in school, we used to eat bologna.
I remember
We used to
fried
eat-
bologna.
Hey, I love me some
We used to
bologna.
eat, what's that other stuff?
All beef.
Hoghead cheese.
Oh, yeah, cheese. Okay, you
My
remember the
daddy-
hoghead cheese? Yes.
My daddy started.
And
us on
then
that.
there was also, I hate to say this, I cringe just the thought of it, potted meat.
Yeah.
You remember that as a kid?
I've never eaten that. Vienna
I did.
sausages.
Oh,
Oh, that
Yeah, the
was
sausages
disgusting. Oh,
and
thank
what's
God
the
I've
other-
never
and
been into that.
spam.
Spam, I hated it. I still
Now we know
can't
what,
eat it.
that's why I stopped eating meat at 17. By that time,
Oh,
I
well,
figured
yeah,
out
look
this
at you
is
eating
too much.
luncheon meat.
What the hell am I eating?
You were eating all, ugh.
I passed by someone asked me
Parents
one
didn't
day. They
have
were like,
money.
"Yes,
This
the
is what they
know
sandwich
any
is-
better,
It's
send
a
meat, so
sandwich.
it's
If
okay.
you put some fire to it, it's gonna be okay."
It'll work. It'll be good. You kill everything that's in it. Just put it.
I'm like, ugh.
Guys, we're sorry. This is very serious, but we
Oh
are
my
in fact
God.
laughing because it brings back memories of
Just,
living.
you know, how
What's our
ludicrous and
engineer eating?
preposterous.
What's our
That's our engineer over there. Get it
You
down.
get that
Pizza?
Well, I think we have to pretty much get ready to
Yes,
go.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
So we always like to thank you for, listening to the show. Please tell your friends. We are trying to grow the show, and we are the messengers.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we're
And
just
thank
giving
you-
you information.
Absolutely, and thank you everyone who always tunes in, especially our regular listeners who tune in via Facebook. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate your support. Don't forget, we do have our rotating chair that's always available. Just, you can call us, you can text us, you can tweet, you can hit us on our website,
Yeah.
www.allaboutyouShow.info. That's all about you, the letter U .show.info, and then or via Facebook or however, let us know what you want to talk about. Again, we talk about what you think about.
and sometimes don't think about it.
Absolutely. Until next week, guys, we'll see you on the radio.
Thank you all.
I'm posting a donut pinch right now.
Yeah.